Yeah, absolutely.
Anyways, let's go into show off some of the videos that these guys have made. I'm going to go from Yoji to NerdBro to Wabachaw. Actually, never mind. I'll take that back. We're going to start with Wabachaw. I'm stupid. Let's hop on over. I don't know why I even mentioned that. Woo! All right, so this is the guys here listening. They won't hear what you guys hear. They're going to hear about like 15 seconds late. So we're just going to be dead quiet during this. They can laugh and things like that, but here we go. This is from Wabachaw's stream. I'll link it here in chat. This is the Poison Arrow infomercial guide, and it's pretty goddamn good.
Are you tired of getting killed in Path of Exile? Tired of thinking you need a Mjolnir to do high-level maps?
I'm excited. Let's do it.
Well, now you can stay alive and do high-level maps with the all-new Poison Arrow. It's easy. Just socket your Poison Arrow in a bow with plus skills with these support gems. Paired with Blood Dance boots and this patent-pending passive pathing, and you'll be in mapping heaven. Don't take my word for it, though. Here's what the #1 player in Tempest League has to say about it.
This is a certified nice Poison Arrow build.
Some would say he's really got the knowledge. Thanks, E-Tup. Want more damage? Get a drill neck. Want even more damage? Corrupt your gear. Want to farm bosses for loot? Stack item rarity. Want to brag about your tooltip DPS? Use hidden potential. Here are just a few testimonials.
With Poison Arrow, mapping has never been easier.
Poison Arrow is great defensively.
Scaling my damage with Poison Arrow has been simple and easy.
Follow these 3 easy steps. Step 1. Make a character in the league of your choice. Step 2. Give your character a name that lets everyone know you are Poison Arrow. Here are some examples. Poison Arrow nice skill. Hello, I'm Poison Arrow. Go Poison Arrow Ranger. And Scranton, PA. Step 3. Follow the suggested passive tree until level 85.
The Poison Arrow thing's so true. The name.
Mm-hmm.
Scranton, PA. I mean, come on.
Subtle references.
But
like
wait, there's more.
pending. Oh.
If you message me from a character with one of the suggested names, I will give you a +2 4-link bow for free.
Laying out the passive tree like that is such a good thing to do
Use
as
that
well.
lightning trap for
I'm
shot
doing more of that on mine too.
Use iShot
Probably a
first
ton
on
of
hit
work.
for vulnerability. Use the pierce from drill
Quite a
net
bit of
to
work,
increase your
but there's
AoE.
actually a way better way to do it.
Use phase
that I
run
know.
for swag. The perfect blend of damage and defense with the all-new Poison Arrow.
Thanks, Poison Arrow.
Thanks, Poison Arrow.
Thanks, Poison Arrow.
And thank you guys for watching.
Very well done video.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's such a good example of like a creative, entertaining way to do something that could otherwise be very dry and boring.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I mean, from Yoji, from Wabachaw, even from LMB, I've learned things that I've incorporated in my content to improve it.
So Wabachaw, what made you think, hey, I'm going to do this silly infomercial? Because honestly, I've listened to every single one of the What's Up Raid Class videos, and you know podcasts are 2 hours long. It's hard to keep people more than 3 minutes on YouTube. Right. That though, I'm there the whole time. Where'd you come up with that idea?
Okay, so all right, this is going to be a little criticism for kind of everyone who makes YouTube videos for Path of Exile. Build videos are too goddamn long.
Yep.
They are too
Sure.
long. Over 10 minutes, way too long. And it's because people go off on tangents in their videos, right? Like they just, although the information is relevant, when you're talking about a cast when damage taken setup, before, people would spend 3 to 4 minutes on it. And it was just, that would add fluff to the video, and it's so long. And so I found myself watching videos, and even though I might like them, like LiftingNerdBro's Flame Totem building video, I actually like that video. But my like attention span is way longer than most people. It's just understanding kind of the YouTube demographic, I think. Not to say that people don't understand it, but I wanted to make a video that was more about like the straight up delivery and just it being short and entertaining. And then, so here's the other thing. Like I said, that video took me a month to make. What took me so long was from concept to implementing that concept in line with the video. I went through at least 6 or 7 scripts for that video. And then it just then once I got the ball rolling, once I got the real script and I figured out the sound, finding the right music for it was hard. Then I was like, okay, I'm going to do this kind of gimmicky thing where it's I'm going to have this sticker come down, this nice build and blah, 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 blah. So it was just, it was because I wanted to make a short video that was entertaining but also informative. And I want my videos to be under the 5-minute mark because I want people, I want it to be short enough that when people watch it, they remember that they watched it for that specific reason, right? They're like, oh, when I watched this video, I watched it was about Poison Arrow. And then if someone else asks them about it, they're like, you should watch this video. It's short. It's to the point. It's funny too. That's what made me think about it. And then, like I said, the infomercial gimmick is something that I'm going to use again, but I am very careful about. I am very careful about kind of killing the gimmick. Someone's asking in chat, who's the girl? That's my girlfriend, my baby mama. So yeah, that's my girlfriend. She did that for me.
I've definitely made 40-minute build videos myself. Don't worry about that. And I've definitely taken on trying to make them shorter and stuff like that. I think my most recent one was 10 minutes, and it did very well as my explosive arrow one.
Yep. Well, that's the thing, though. See, even though I find myself, I would watch those videos, right? Even though I might feel like they're little stale at sometimes, I would still watch it because it's background stuff for me, right? But most people on YouTube don't want that. Their attention span is that 3 to 5 minutes, and 5 minutes is pushing it. You better have some really good content for 5 minutes. Because after 2 minutes, I'm sure you guys have seen in your YouTube statistics, you could take the YouTube statistics and look at the average audience retention.
Time. Yeah,
the watch time, and it's not high. Even for podcasts, it's 20 minutes. Even if you have a 2-hour podcast on there, it's not that high. So it's just more about delivering it in a very entertaining manner and directly, and not straying off. And actually, at the very end of that video, I put in things that people would usually stray about. You stopped it, but the things that people would generally kind of start to stray off about and spend 5 to 10 minutes on, I actually did include that in the video, but I brought it up in a way that's more oh, hey, this is also stuff you should know. But yeah.
So you don't need. So what I'm going to say based on that video is it's a perfect example of you don't need. It's not that it's an infomercial. That's not the key thing. That was a little gimmick that helped kind of sell it, get a little more attention. But the core important things about that were how well it's kind of summed up and categorized and grouped into little topics. The way you've broken it down, and then also the way you've shown things on screen in a way that makes it really fast, rather than going through and explaining in detail every support gem and stuff like that. You can have a written guide that helps support a video content is like that. You can have something on the forums, or you can have a spreadsheet that you link with a video to explain some of those more little detailed nuances, or you can have them later on at the end of the video, right after the 5-minute point or something like that, when you've lost most people already. But that was a really good example of, even without that gimmick, that video would have still been very good.
I think, as you say, Wabachaw, I think it's about understanding your demographics. And you say that you feel like videos are above 10 minutes is too long, and I disagree with that, because when I look at my demographics and the feedback I get on my videos, usually my build videos are 20 minutes plus. I've tried to make them shorter, and what I always experience when I make my build videos shorter is that they get so much less detailed, and I get so many more questions. And while I completely agree that I think your video is amazing, dude. We watched it on my stream as well because it was just so fucking good. I think your video is amazing for people who knows about the game. Yep. People who doesn't need in-depth explanation because they have the knowledge themselves. But for the audience that I try to appeal to, beginners of the game, they definitely do need to understand and have a better explanation when, for instance, I talk about skill gems and why I link them, what happens when I link my skill gems, and why do I choose the things that I do in the skill tree. I think that's absolutely necessary for new players, because even with my long explanations in my build guides, I still get tons of questions every time, and so it's for different types of demographics. So I disagree that videos doesn't need to be more than 10 minutes, but I completely agree that for certain demographics you do not need more.
What Lifting's kind of getting at is more, it's about knowing which audience you're trying to target, and then making the appropriate content for them. There is definitely, especially in Path of Exile, like YouTube itself is known for having ADD, right? 3-minute videos. No one watches that past the first minute. But in Path of Exile especially, there's a big market for long-form content, for good, engaging long-form content. If you can make a video that's engaging for 30 minutes, and then that will do well in Path of Exile, and you will... if you can pull that off, if you can be engaging for 30 minutes and not have it kind of waffle off and be too rambling, then that can do very well. And I've had really successful long-form content as well that people like.
So
I think it's kind of like the nature of Path of Exile, because you have to like be willing to theory craft and go really into detail if you want to play Path of Exile like somewhat successfully. So it attracts people who like this kind of content. But if you get to like a certain knowledge level in Path of Exile, then watching a LiftingNerdBro video, like it's targeted at beginners. You don't want to know all that, because you already know all that stuff that he's mentioning. So you want kind of a shorter video. So if you are aiming at a demographic of like intermediate players, they have kind of a good grasp of the basics, but maybe want to try a bit more of a fancy build than like the default Flame Totem Cyclone. Then I think the videos that Wabachaw is making
I've fun both of those.
So I have a counterpoint about that. All right. So when I make my videos, I want it to be entertaining. I had people who don't play Path of Exile say that they love that video. And it made them want to play Path of Exile. So like, so the informative videos really helps out beginners. People really get into it. My videos, like Yoji's saying, a little bit more targeted towards the intermediate to be a little entertaining, because obviously someone who doesn't know who ETUP is, someone who's not familiar with the community, you know, they're going to be like, who's this guy? What? You know, although I introduced him in a way that kind of made it seem like he had relevance. Because
I love that.
Yeah, I was hoping that he would, but he was just like, but cool, whatever. That's ETUP's personality. And
it's perfect.
So, but my thing was like, I want my entertaining videos to be seen, because what happens with someone who's never seen Path of Exile, who plays Diablo 3 or another action RPG, right? Any other action RPG, they see a YouTube video for Path of Exile, and they see all these intricate things, and they see that it's 30 minutes. They start watching, and they get to that stale moment. And then they're like, whatever. But like a shorter video, you know, they're like, oh, what's this? Oh, this is entertaining. And then they get all of it. So it's not necessarily going for like my demographic, but it's more going for the YouTube demographic, like overall.
I'm gonna simplify this before we go into our next video. The YouTube content you create, the Twitch broadcast you do, will attract the people that you are, you know, broadcasting as. If you want to broadcast and be douchey, those are the people you're going to attract. If you want to be silly and fun, you're going to attract people who want to watch a silly and fun environment. Whatever you do, that's what's going to attract. So there really is no right or wrong answer here.
Yeah.
Broadcast whatever the hell you want. That's 100%. How I take it.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right, let's go.
I don't think anyone is saying that either.
Yeah.
One thing I've always felt like, one of the reasons I feel it's good to have like a beginner focus for me, that the reason I want to focus on beginners is that, you know, people who search for information are usually beginners. People who has a lot of knowledge about the game, they don't necessarily always need guides. They need inspiration, right? So that's why I think like Wabachaw is amazing for people with you know, some knowledge, because they see this and think, hey, this is great inspiration, I'm gonna use this. Whereas, you know, beginners, they really need, you know, the more information, because they need to learn from the game.
They need guidance.
Exactly.
Right. Speaking of informative videos, the next one's from ItsYoji. ItsYoji, this is your 5th video, your trading video.
This one's great as well, yeah.
I haven't seen this one yet.
Yoji, yeah? 5th video?
Yep. I think it's the 5th one, yes.
Alright, this is part 1 of a part 3 series, and it's Trader's Etiquette. And it's how to buy items. So expect the next one on Wednesday. Here we go.
What is going on, guys? It's YoJi
What?
with a guide on Path of
Hold on a
Exile.
second. What the heck? The video disappeared. No. Hold on. Let me just.
Bloody YouTube buffering.
It's not even YouTube. It just disappeared from Wabachaw's. I don't know why. I'm not going to switch between overlays. We're going to go right into LiftingNerdBro's video next, okay? All right, here we go. Edit. Perfect. All right, here we go.
Trading etiquette. This 3-part video series will focus solely on the social interactions part of trading, and more specifically, trading using the website PoE.trade. So no trade chat in this one. I will cover all these unwritten rules the community has established for trading over the years, and nobody will tell you about, but everyone will expect you to know them, or otherwise they will get pissed off. All the things I cover in this video are things that help me personally have a positive trading experience in Path of Exile. In this video we will take a closer look at the do's and don'ts to keep in mind when buying an item in Path of Exile. Next week we will do the same for selling items, and in a third video I will cover some of the more common scam strategies in Path of Exile and how to avoid them. So, let's get started. Don't expect the seller to come to your hideout. There is this unwritten rule in Path of Exile trading that the buyer comes to the seller's hideout to make the trade. Not following this rule can make people very angry for some reason. Probably because you go to the shop to buy something and don't expect the shop to come to you. But then what about delivery services? Do use the verify button. Once you found an item you want to buy on PoE Trade, click the verify button. Do it. Every time. It makes PoE.trade check whether the item you want to buy is still available or not. This can save you and the potential sellers a lot of time. This also prevents you from being frustrated because the seller's not answering to you, as he knows the item's already sold. Don't say just hi. So after you check the item you want to buy is still available, you want to write to the player selling the item. Do not do this. Hi. State your purpose. For all you know, the person you just messaged might be in a rippy map or trying to do core Malachi on his EBCI build in hardcore right now. If the other player knows what you want from him, your chances of getting an answer are a lot higher. By just typing hi and waiting for him to reply first, you make him type twice in what might be a very dangerous situation for his character, thus discouraging him from answering at all. First, he has to find a moment and place of safety to reply to your hi, and then again to reply to your trade request. Do be precise with your trade request. Want to buy your 2-stone ring does not help anyone. Most people have more than one item of each type for sale. You want to at least mention the item name and item base type. How much the item is listed for, that is, if the seller has set a buyout price, maybe name the league you're trading in, and definitely state ahead of time whether you want to negotiate for a lower price or pay an alternate currency. Do not wait with this until you are in the seller's hideout. Nobody likes the surprise gumball attack, or leave their map just to find out the two of you are not going to agree on a trade anyways because the prices you have in mind are so different. PoE Trade has a whisper button that takes care of the first half of the message for you. When you press it, it generates a message for you. You can copy the whole thing, paste it into the in-game chat window, and then add any information you want. Yes, it does make trade a little bit less personal, but it also saves a lot of time. Don't haggle about fixed prices. Fixed price means the price is, you know, fixed, as in not up for negotiation. Respect the seller's decision, save both of you some time, and pay the price or find another item. Do haggle about buyout prices. Try to haggle around 10 to 20% off of each buyout price. It adds up over time. For more expensive items you often can go a bit further than those 10 to 20%. Also trying to get all the haggling done before you enter the seller's hideout if possible. But don't lowball. Be reasonable. If an item is listed for 10 chaos, you can try to get it for 8 chaos, maybe 9 chaos, maybe even a bit lower. But you will probably not get it for 2 chaos or even 5 chaos. Instead, asking for that will likely just piss off the other player. And even if you are certain the buyout price is way too high, asking for a much lower price will usually just cause you trouble. Because the other player will feel like you're trying to take advantage of him. Sometimes people just disagree on the value of an item. Shit happens, move on, find another item to buy. Oh, and one more thing about haggling. Asking for a lower price or paying in alternate currency is usually fine. Try not to ask for both if you can avoid it. If another player offers you a hand, don't take the whole arm. Tune in next week to learn what to do and what to avoid when selling an item. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe so you don't miss the next part of the series. I release a video every Wednesday.
Alright, so here's this video right here. This is an example of both an entertaining, through comedy, as well as very informative video, which is super hard, I think, for most people to come across. There's times you're laughing because you've had that experience happen to you, and then the same token, it's super informative, where a new player can watch this. They may not get the meme, but they'll understand how it works. Yeah. So, Yoji, what were your thoughts when you came across this video, or when you wanted to make this video?
That's kind of exactly the point that I want to go for. I want to make informative videos that have, like, if you're a new player, you come across this, you're like, okay, yeah, that's why this guy was shouting at me when I was asking for him for like a lower price. But at the same time, if you're like the player that that's been playing Path of Exile for 2 years or whatever, you watch this and you're like, exactly, man, that's what stuff I have to deal with all the time. And yeah, people are also entertained. So you're entertained if you like don't get any information from it, you're still getting value out of the video, and that's what I think is very, very cool and very important to me. And I think it's very difficult to come up with concept like this.
I saw people saying in chat saying, "Oh, I do that all the time," and this video made me realize I'm a horrible trader. I love it.
I had comments like this as well. Someone was like, "I just reached level 70," and if someone states his level to you, you know he's a new player. And then and I learned so much about this. Like, people were like ignoring me all the time when I'm asking to buy items, and I was like, hey, I actually helped someone out with this video. It's really cool. Yeah. But at the same time, a lot of people are like, oh, this stuff happens all the time. Thank you for making this video and stating all this stuff.
So the point I want to make about this video is, and a reason why this is so successful, is that there's a really big market in Path of Exile for making good quality content that explains stuff that people take as assumed knowledge. No one ever takes the time to explain something that they consider to be assumed knowledge. Like, everyone should know this. And it gets to the point where you've been in the community for a while where even myself, I'm starting to think that, hey, everyone already knows this. There's no point making a video on it. But there's a huge market for going back and making content like this on stuff that people just see as assumed knowledge. Like, there's so much stuff. There's so many people that didn't know a lot of this stuff. Like, it's such a good example. Everyone in chat saying that, hey, I had no idea, and oh man, I always do that thing. That's definitely a huge amount of content that can be made like that.
So I had a comment on the video that was like, I didn't know the whisper button on PoE Trade existed. Like, dude, this saves me so much time. I was like, people who don't know that thing, that's the best invention ever. Yeah, it is.
So what you both you and Wabachaw just so excellent here is just the presentation. I mean, your topic, Yoji, here is for me, I could make a video about this, but it would be so fucking boring, because I don't have like your quality entertainment here. So you're taking something that's actually relatively boring and making it interesting and actually teaching people at the same time. It's amazing. I'm a teacher myself, and this is one of the things we have to work on, when we're teaching, or when we want to teach our pupils, making boring stuff actually interesting, right?
Yeah,
it's actually not boring, but it's
the topic can be kind of dry if you present it, like, just explain the things. It's very dry, but as soon as you like mix it up a bit, like throw a few jokes in there, learning becomes a lot easier if you have fun doing it. That's kind of the whole idea.
You keep people engaged because people are waiting for the next, the meme or animation or whatever it is. I like that.
You mean Jack Sparrow?
For instance, good job.
Ziggy is a master in the arts of dank meme, and he saw that dank meme a mile away.
You would feel it even before.
Dank out of 10 for sure.
So, Yoji, it's safe to assume your buyer's guide next week is going to have offer in it?
It will have, of course. This is the main problem. It will have offer, it will have the AFK people, and it will have all the things, Of course, it will have,
can't wait. So we should expect that Wednesday, yes?
The thing is, I got the second video this week because I've been working overtime all weekend. So it's probably like Tuesday, Thursday this week.
Okay, cool. Probably. Well, I appreciate that. So stay tuned. If you guys want to see that, you can sub to his channel. Again, it's right here. I'll put it in chat. You can sub to his channel. And then Ziggy just posted Lifting Nerd Bros. Now, Lifting Nerd Bro, I'm going to be honest, this video is 18 minutes long, but it has 350,000 views, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah. I think maybe I don't know if it's that good for showing. Maybe we can just talk over it, like.
Well, it's important to show these kind of things because it's still successful. Obviously, your likes to dislike ratio is massive.
So yeah, I think it would be doing people a disservice to just show the short, funny videos, right? To show a bit of an example. Obviously, we can't play the whole video, but to show a bit of an example of the sort of not short, funny video that can do very well. 350,000 views, guys. That is huge.
For Path of Exile content,
I don't have many videos that have many views on my channel.
So I'm gonna play the beginning of it, and then we're gonna go into. Well, we might skip around, but I just want to show people the longer videos, the more serious ones that people will still love and watch.
Here, this is an updated video build guide for my dual flame totem life-based blood magic build. The build is optimally
link it in chat too for people.
Can be played as both the Templar or the Marauder as well, if you prefer. With the Awakening, this build is now even stronger than it was before. It has much more DPS and just as much survivability. Mechanically, the skill gem or the Flame Totem skill gem now also gains projectiles as it levels, which means that the need for greater multiple projectiles is no longer needed as a support gem. And another great change is that with this update, the Flame Totem can now also be obtained and used straight from level 4, which is what you will be doing if you decide to follow this build. And honestly guys, this build is what I consider one of the strongest, easiest, funniest and cheapest beginner builds that you can possibly use. The build is both cheap, effective, and it will carry you all the way to the highest level of maps, while at the same time providing you with excellent clear speed and survivability. So before I show you the skill gem and skill tree setup and all that good stuff, let me give you a short rundown of how the build actually works. The defensive powers of this character lie in having a ton of life, armor, and by actively using endurance charges together with a castman damage taking immortal cold setup, and of course the good old granite flask. This together with the fact that monsters often attack totems instead of you makes this build incredibly safe. The build also uses the blood magic keystone, which means instead of mana you'll be fueling the cost of your skills through your life pool instead. The benefit of using blood magic is that it allows you to focus on what's really important for this build, which is simply life and damage, so you don't have to worry about mana regen and all that stuff. Besides that, using blood magic also enables you to use the Infernal Mantle chest armor and the Clear Mind Jewel, which both adds a ton of damage to your character, but I will explain how these work later on in the video. I also feel like it's worth mentioning that since you'll be using totems, reflect damage will never be a problem. Totems will reflect damage, but they will reflect it back onto themselves, not onto you. And since you're using totems, you will also with this build have to pick up the Keystone Ancestral Bond. This keystone allows you to have 2 totems up at a time, but in turn it also prevents you from dealing damage with any other attacks or spells. If you want, you can however still use traps or mines, however it is in no way necessary. The totems will do fine on their own. You can still cast curses and all that stuff, you just can't deal damage with spells or attacks. Keep that in mind. I also think it's important to note that Flame Totem does exceptionally well on just a 4 link, so you don't have to worry about getting yourself a 5 or 6 link right to begin with. And at the current state of the build and my character's level, my 5 linked Flame Totem tooltip shows that it currently deals about 15,000 damage for each totem, and this is without taking fire penetration into account and Vol Haste. And while the video doesn't show it right now, reaching about 5,500 HP is more than possible with this build. All in all, it is a very powerful and...
I'll wait for you guys to catch up, I just paused it.
So I've taken a bunch of notes, some quick analysis, because this is the sort of video, the sort of content I like to make as well, and I've done a lot of analysis on my own content, what of this type of content performs really well. So this is a good example of how long-form content that can perform exceptionally well. Like, just to reiterate, 350,000 views is massive, and that is the point where if you're able to do that, okay, like every now and then with a good piece of quality content, then you can start earning a living just off YouTube alone. Like that sort of content can earn enough to do that from like a monetary perspective. So I guess one of the first things that stood out to me was it had well-balanced, not overbearing music. That actually makes a pretty huge difference to people's engagement in the content and the kind of the feeling they take away from it. You want them to kind of take a more positive feeling away from the video when they finish watching. And I've noticed a huge improvement from when I had not used any music to when I'd used well-balanced, kind of nice music in the background. So that did a good job of that. Using Path of Exile soundtrack's a good starting place. The reason why this video did so well and got 350,000 views is that it wasn't just relying on being linked and doing well on Reddit, right? Funny short-form content will do really well on Reddit. It'll do really well on the forums. It'll get passed around, shared around, which is a great way to get a channel noticed initially. But this did well in search. This is a video that absolutely crushed search results. So it did that because of the title and description primarily. That's what makes the biggest. That's what has the biggest impact on search. So let me go through the title here. I don't know if you're able to show it on streams.
I'll copy and paste it in chat.
Okay, so the title is Path of Exile: The Awakening 2.0, Beginner's Dual Flame Totem Witch, Hardcore, Softcore, Viable. There is everything in that people would be searching for that could possibly nail this. It's nailed all of the things that are really high demand topics. So the game first is helpful for titles. I've found that works really well.
It actually misses something, and I thought I had added that to it. It should say etiquette viable as well. That's
definitely.
But all seriously,
a big search.
There's probably a big market for etiquette viable.
If you add etiquette viable, that makes such a big difference.
Could have got 1 million views with that for sure.
Man, I missed out.
I'm only like half joking. I reckon etiquette viable as a search result would probably do pretty well on YouTube. Yeah, but he's targeted, like, the timing of the video is important. Awakening, so people are looking for a build for Awakening launch. So this was released at a good time with the appropriate search terms for that. Beginners is a great thing. People are looking for beginners build. It's a beginner's build. It's well labeled as such. The type of build, the selection of the build that he's covering was a popular meta build that people were looking for. They heard about people talking about dual flame totem. They go on YouTube and they search for a dual flame totem build, and then also stating the leagues as well. People are looking for hardcore, and like every part of that title is crushing it in search results. And then it's reiterated in the top of the description as well. So the description goes over. It reiterates the Awakening. The only thing I noticed you don't have in the description is Path of Exile. You can have that again in the description too. Helps a lot, I find. But he's got a lot of the points from the title reiterated as well. So absolutely crushed it in search results. As for the actual video itself, also gameplay first, straight at the start. So if you are going to have long form content, you need to have that gameplay first. A lot of people like to go through. I've seen a lot of build guides that are good builds and everything, but they go through like their gear first, and they go through the passive tree first, and they show gameplay at the end. Don't want to do that on YouTube, man. Not the way to do it. Talk about what makes your build work as you're showing gameplay. And I noticed even my older build guides had no gameplay at the start, and then I started doing that, and I started noticing a lot more engagement. So that's my 2-minute analysis on that video, why that's done so well.
That's really smart. I never thought of that, because I always describe everything and then I do the gameplay. Go right away with the gameplay. So which means that, like with me, I just do it all in one record, just here it is, and I put it up because I'm lazy. I don't do any video editing.
That way, yeah.
There's actually studies showing that unless you capture your audience within the first 6 or 10 seconds, they will click away. And we can pretty much all understand that if we click a video, we want to see what is this thing about, what does it actually do, and that's why I feel like the gameplay is more, that actually shows more than the explanation to begin with. So
yeah, 100%. Super important to start with gameplay. Yeah. Definitely something you could improve with, Zeno, if you're willing to do a little bit of post-production editing.
Of course. I mean, I never knew that. And that's such a simple thing. And that's probably why my YouTube, it's not even that my YouTube isn't doing well. It's doing well when I put up videos, but I'm just really lazy. Yeah. I'm super lazy. I'd rather just do Twitch.
I think that helped me a lot to understand what people like, just observing my own habits. It's kind of a thing I don't know if everyone can do that very well, but think about what would you type in if you were searching for something. Yeah. You type in PoE or Path of Exile, and then you type in something like I don't know, Poison Arrow build, and then hardcore viable if you're playing hardcore. And if you type that in, YouTube will search for those keywords first. And if that's not exactly your title, you will show up there. That's how the whole search engine.
What do I usually search? I'm I search for I would search for the patch number 1.4, and then I'd search for the name of the build and stuff like that. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Absolutely.
And I have to just like reiterate that like search is how I got to be where I am now, is through focusing almost exclusively on search, and that's why Lifting's channel has done so well as well. He's done an excellent job of focusing on focusing on making sure that people will find his content when they search for it on YouTube, and that's
why if you want to start doing YouTube content as well right now you for me, for instance, Ziggy has a lot of videos that I have done similar videos to as well. And while that's good and all, and people will watch it, they will not have the same traction and success as Ziggy's, because Ziggy's are out there. Ziggy's has a lot of views. Ziggy's will be on the top of the search history when people search for these videos. So if you want to start doing Path of Exile content on YouTube, you probably shouldn't do the mistake that I did and make similar type of content. You should make, if you want to make build guides, make sure you make build guides that is not out there already. Make sure to make guides that, you know, are different. Of course, you can do something similar if you want to have like, you know, I like the idea of people when they go into my Path of Exile directory that they can find pretty much every information that they want to. But keep that in mind. You really want it to be unique and something that the bigger YouTubers don't have, because you will be placed further down on the Twitch directory and you'll simply not have the same click-through rate.
I don't fully agree with the idea of making, always trying to do like something super unique and making like searching for a new build. Like that's a dual flame totem build, right? I'm sure there's plenty of guides up for dual flame totem build. The key is to see and recognize something that you can do better, or have it be more time relevant. So if you like search for, if you think, oh, I'm going to make a video for this, and then you search for it and then like, hey, there's a Ziggy one there already. But like look at it and go, all right, what can I do better about this? How can I make sure that this will show up in some extra search results? Or how can I make this video shorter and more entertaining and more informative? Focus on what you can do better, and that's how I got started on YouTube as well. Was like not looking at like, oh man, this has all already been done before. Everything's been done before. Pretty much everything's been done. You need to look at how you can do better.
Also have sexy thumbnails. That helps a lot, because people will click on something that looks good, and they will not click on like random gameplay. Like if they see it, there's a good thumbnail and like descriptive text or something, people will click on it.
Yeah, that's true. All these guys have good thumbnails. Like that's something I should point out, is all of these guys' channels, ZiggyD, LMB, Wabachaw, all have good thumbnails, good clear thumbnails, for sure.
I mean, the thing with thumbnails is that it actually shows that you put some effort into it. I think that matters a lot.
Yeah, it's the cover of your book, man.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you can have absolutely awesome content without making thumbnails, but
people do judge books by their covers, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Real talk.
That's just how it is.
I have a funny story about thumbnails. When I did my Poison Arrow video, I actually made a thumbnail for it. I was like, yeah, this is such a good thumbnail. But then YouTube suggested a thumbnail. It was just like the YouTube, you know, whatever the default ones that they would be like, oh, maybe you should use this part of it. I was like, oh my God. It was just the one that I use is actually like really good. It's just like my girlfriend looking back at the screen, just smiling. And just like, oh shit, maybe I should just have a thumbnail with a girl on it. That'll help views anyway.
Yeah. I believe there's actually studies showing as well that if you have your face on the thumbnail, that there's a higher click-through rate. Like, you guys have seen PewDiePie, for instance, when he does.
Especially if you got a face like LiftingNerdBro.
I don't think that's the case.
Yep, agreed.
I'll take the compliment. I'll take the compliment. Nah. But yeah, it has, of course, that's again where you have to not be fake, because if you've never done that before and you all of a sudden just start to plaster these thumbnail with like a funny face that's not relevant to the content you make, then yeah, that's not gonna work. Well, maybe. I don't know, if you have like really nice boobs.
Wow.
Let's be honest.
All right, let's change the subject. We've done enough promotion out there. You guys heard the do's and don'ts, what to look for. There's so much into Path of Exile creation content through YouTube and Twitch. I want to thank all three of you guys for showing up before we go into the next segment. ItsYoji, LiftingNerdBro, and Wabachaw. You guys have awesome YouTube content, and I really hope nothing but the best for you guys.
Thank you for giving us the chance to talk about it. Yeah.
This is a little bit different of an episode. Usually there's so much to talk about with Path of Exile, but in the past 2 weeks we've only had 2 things. So let's go into those. Number 1, the next 1 month, we have the Dark Shrine Challenge Leagues. Dark Shrine.
I'm actually hyped.
Yeah, me too. It's actually it's not a challenge league. There's no challenges involved other than the league itself. So
5-week race it's being called.
Yeah, 5-week race. That's it. During this, it's a new event. It was kind of like a failed concept for ZiggyD, and they, instead of just never using it, you know, they've already put forth the effort and the money, so they're giving it to us. They feel it would be better in a 1-month type thing than a 3-month challenge league. And the way how this league works is there will be these dark shrines throughout Raid Class per zone where you could sacrifice a rare or yellow item into it, and depending on the mods or the name, we don't know yet, different things will happen. Some of the things they said would happen will be all white items on the ground will be affected by a chance orb, or all monsters' HP will be reduced to 1. You know, or there'll be a random unique hidden in a vase or a chest somewhere across the map. So there's many things to happen, and before speculation is to occur, we need to know what those are. What are you guys' initial thought process on this? We'll start with you, Ziggy. What do you think is going to happen?
So this is a league of, or a race of entirely reused content by someone who does an excellent job with developing creative things out of that sort of thing. Jonathan is the person who basically did this league single-handedly, and I think it's going to be excellent. I think it's going to. I'm really keen to see what they can do with something that is basically entirely reused content, to how far they can push that. And from the brief examples they've given us, it sounds like it should be pretty damn interesting, man. It seems like it's going to have some pretty crazy big impacts on gameplay, stuff like, you know, reducing all mobs down to 1 HP. And he said that I think Chris said that there's a chance that some of them will act a bit like corrupting Tempest, maybe like corrupt all the items around the shrine or something like that. So there's going to be some huge, I think some huge impacts from some of these. It should be really entertaining one. I'm just sad that I'm going to be missing most of it, man. I'm going to PAX Australia and BlizzCon. I'm going to miss the first couple of weeks of it, so I'm gonna have to try and tune into some streams and watch some of you guys play it and live vicariously through you.
There's been back and forth type things, and there's something I want to say about this 1-month challenge league is we could have just played Standard and Hardcore or not played the game at all during this 1 month to 5 weeks. So I'm actually appreciative they're letting us see some of their previous content ideas. It's better than nothing.
Yeah, that's cool.
And
like
it's not even going to be a void league.
It's like the B-sides album of Path of Exile.
It's like even something new. It's not even like flashback where you've exactly seen this type of stuff before, just like all together, and it's crazy. But it's like there are actually like, new effects. I mean, I've never played a map with every mob having 1 HP. I would probably go to the vendor, get like split arrow chain going, and like kill everything way faster than my build usually would, or something like this. There might be strategies around that, and I think it could be a very interesting league. And if it's not, it's short.
Something I'm happy about, though, is it's not forced. This past 1 month kind of feels forced because you're like, this is the only time I can get this MTX. This one, at first I was disappointed there's no MTX, but I was like, I don't have to play this league at all if I don't want to.
Entirely for fun, yeah.
Exactly. So, LiftingNerdBro, why do you disagree with the fact?
I disagree. Well, to some extent, I disagree with it. Because
LiftingNerdBro, why do you hate Path of Exile?
Why do I hate Path of Exile?
Why do you hate Path of Exile?
Let me just state before I say this: Path of Exile is an amazing game, and I love this game.
Yeah, we know. Go on.
Here goes the butt. Here goes the butt.
Otherwise, people would hate me. But honestly, the reason I feel I don't think having 2 month races in a row is a good decision. Because right now I feel that Path of Exile is kind of in a slow pace, and people are, you know, they're playing the 1 month league and they're having fun with it. But we saw a lot of people, you know, being hyped for the first 1 or 2 weeks for the 1 month, and then a mass exodus almost with the leagues being very slow here at the end. And I think that by having another new 1 month league right after this, I think we're kind of making people feel like they have to play it, but it would be better if they actually just had like a month off or just played Standard League or something like that, so we can get the hype back. From a promotional perspective, I also feel like there's a lot of streamers who currently are in the position where they like Path of Exile, but they don't want to risk getting burned out. But with the 1 month leagues coming up, do I have to play it? Do I not? And then you get these streamers who are like, they're sitting there and they are only half enjoying their experience. Whereas if we were not to have this 1 month league, it's kind of like having weekend all the time. You don't enjoy it as much as if you have to, you know, work through the week, right?
Yeah.
And I think Path of Exile right now needs that hype back where we're like, holy shit, this 3 month league is going to be amazing. I can't wait. I haven't been playing Path of Exile for the last month, and this is going to be awesome. I feel like the game kind of needs that from a promotional perspective at least. But then again, I'm a streamer and a YouTuber, so maybe my view on this is not entirely
last episode with the devs, I kind of asked this topic was whether they think Path of Exile needs that downtime, that time for people to take a break. And I'm of the mind that it does. I'm of the mind that we need like a week or two here and there where people don't feel like they have to play, and hopefully this is like that, right, where it's fun, people can like play for a little bit and have a good time, but then kind of like take the last couple of weeks of it off. 5 weeks, maybe they play for like the first 2 weeks and then take the last couple of weeks off and have that break. So hopefully this functions as a bit of a break. As Zeno says, doesn't have like the MTX reward so much. There are still some rewards there for people that go hard, so maybe it will kill it a bit. I actually do think so. I do think that Path of Exile needs those break periods, but when we talked to the devs last fortnight, they were kind of the mind that they don't want those downtimes, right? Like ideally the developer of a game doesn't want any downtime. Like they want people to be hyped about it all the time. And I think that's maybe a bit optimistic. And from their perspective, right, they need to keep the servers running and keeping people hyped and putting out a new league in that space where there could just be a month gap. Potentially gets them some more MTX sales as people are playing and buying some of those things. So I can understand why they don't want that to happen, but I think I do think overall for like the long-term health of the game, breaks are important, even if it's not very attractive from the developer's viewpoint.
So Wabachaw, what is your take on these Dark Shrines coming out?
So generally, I'm a pretty optimistic person about whatever we have coming up in Path of Exile. I mean, you know, people, often the ones who are the unhappiest are the loudest. So. I'm pretty optimistic. However, there's a pretty big however in this. When Chris said that there would be surprises in this league, he made it seem like that once we figure out what happens, then we know. It's no longer a surprise. He even said that. He said, things will be a surprise until then, until they're figured out. This is pretty much what he said, and that's how I received that. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe that's pretty cool, right? Like, and then I was like, oh, well, maybe we could use uniques in these dark shrines. Well, we can't use uniques in the dark shrines, and I think actually having that would be very, very interesting. And so it sucks when you have the knowledge of what you can't do in a league, but you don't have the knowledge of what you can do in it. Whatever's going on. So it's yet to be seen, right? We don't know if we're going to have some really awesome, dank shrines out there.
Yeah, only telling what you can't do.
Yeah,
we're on the lead up kills the excitement a bit.
Exactly. Yeah, if we are told what we can do, it'd be a little bit better. But we've already been told what we can't do.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, I don't want to just jump on because, like I said, I'm personally optimistic. I'm actually looking forward to it. I'm going to play in it. It's going to be fun. But yeah, there's definitely some to be made about it.
The way how they described the flawed concept, why it would be better for 1 month versus 3 months. The first thing I thought was Ambush was such a big success because you have the potential of getting extra loot, and then you have some lock boxes that deliver amazing currency and things like that. Jewelers used to be great. Well, excuse me, not jewelers, gem cutters, all these different kind of things. But the minimum reward was worth your time, and that is experience. At the least, you will get experience for doing these boxes. Domination, despite the shrines being pretty weird in themselves, guaranteed packs, awesome experience, maps, things like that. Now, Dark Shrines, unless it has the same type of concept, I think it's a flawed design, because in hardcore or a racer clear speed mentality, they don't want to stop, find a rare, dump the rare into their, oh cool, this happened. It's more of a fun kind of thing. Like I said, lockboxes and domination will always yield experience at the minimum. These dark shrines, we don't know if that's the case. We have to experience that ourselves. So if that is not the case, I see it being a flawed design all around. But it's all about fun for 5 months, and let's do it.
Exactly that. That's kind of like for like a break league, as Ziggy kind of put it. It's might actually be perfect. You can participate, and I think, Chris Wilson kind of hinted at things being like could be a bit broken once people figure out like what the system behind it is, like what item do you have to put in for which effect at what shrine or whatever, and there's like a potential of getting a lot of like loot, for example, and maybe for permanent league players this might actually be a great opportunity to jump at it and like try to get as much out of it as possible. For example, it's like one thing I kind of hope this will be kind of like Valor League, where you have at the beginning you have to like find out a lot of stuff, like try out all the things and find out what it is. Like in the beginning when Varlops were released, everyone was about science, and I want science to be back. And you will. What happens if I throw like a 6-link in there? Maybe that makes like for great rewards, but I will lose the 6-link. So do I really want to do it? And I can't use a tabular because uniques don't work. It's kind of like the risk versus reward thing, and like all this like finding out stuff. Maybe I'm a bit too excited about this because I'm actually a scientist, but who knows? I like doing research and stuff and trying stuff out.
From a fun,
that should be your angle, Yoji. By the way, that should be your brand. Path of Exile scientist.
I mean, we already got Gouda as the mad scientist of the game.
Yeah, he's more like the Dr. Frankenstein, though.
That's true. That's true.
It's funny because right now,
a little different.
right now, there's a lot of negative being talked about this league. In before, you know, it's like when Warbands was announced, everyone's like, "This is going to be the coolest league ever. It's going to be the best." Then they played like Snorebands, wah, and Tempest was the best league ever. And why does Hardcore get all the loot? Watch Dark Shrine be talked mad crap about, and then we play it and like, "Yo, put it in the core of the game right now, GGG." You know, that's how this community works. We don't know until we actually play it. So let's give it an honest effort. You know, you could say what you want about paper like I just did, but you really don't know until you give it a shot. I mean, what's 1 week of your time playing it anyways?
Yeah, exactly.
And you want to play anyway. That's the biggest thing. Most of the people want to play.
It's better than Standard League. Playing that off for 5 weeks. I mean, 5 years or 5 months, whatever. 5 decades.
Forever.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Let's do it. Does anybody want to talk anything else about Dark Shrine before we move on?
I do actually have one thing. Rise actually said something in the chat that's really interesting, and it's a good point. But especially after this Ruckus League, how people are going to feel about the difficulty of the game. Because I know when there's no Beyond, when there's all this, the game feels neutered to me now. Like a core game, just easy as it is, it's so easy. So, I don't know. That's kind of like a good point about it. And this is a nice break. Ruckus League is so stressful, and then going in a Dark Shrine, Dank Shrine.
Always Beyond Baby Rage.
Dank Shrines.
Yeah. Once we go into there, you know, it might actually be really fun. It will be a nice break before the Challenge League.
So let's move on here. We're going to talk quickly about the Poison change, as well as the Viper Strike change and Melee Splash change, which is the best thing I read in that whole freaking development manifesto. Rory, about a week ago, posted a development manifesto about how they're changing Poison, which is the status ailment, not the degen caused by Poison Arrow, or old Viper Strike. The dot you place is technically not a poison. When you use Beanos, it doesn't actually spread. So they were changing how Poison mechanics works. It will now stack. So the first thing I want to talk about is Viper Strike will automatically apply it now. Adder's Touch applies a poison when you crit. Usually if you crit with a dagger, it's going to die. However, there are some scary things that most people haven't thought of with this. You know, Vile Touch has always been like a joke, right? Now, Vile Touch, when it hits you, those will stack. Will it actually be scary? I don't know. But these are things that we're going to have to consider when playing these new leagues. Or
the biggest thing is they're going to be adding support gems and extra ways and extra passives for getting poison either from pure physical or from chaos damage, which means
chaos damage.
Pardon?
Upfront chaos damage. Roy confirmed that the degen from Poison Arrow will not actually apply it. It has to be direct damage chaos damage.
Yeah, direct damage chaos damage. So that means things like Ethereal Knives, or maybe if this is good enough, we might see some not just tons of elemental stacking on physical builds, like people want to see more pure physical builds. I don't think so. I'm not optimistic enough to say that that's going to happen. I don't think that people will take like a degen over just dealing more upfront damage, but you know, maybe the potential's there.
They also mentioned that they're going to buff Melee Splash and look back into some older skills, such as like Glacial Hammer, for example, to maybe give default AoE or have a wider AoE with Melee Splash, which is the most important thing I read out of that whole development.
Yeah, that's so amazing. Yeah,
Melee Splash has been underwhelming for a while.
There's like one change that can potentially make so many skills more viable and feel better. That I think it's great. Like changing this one gem and like maybe tweaking like all the single target gems a little bit can potentially.
In before Melee Splash has more AoE than Cleave.
Yeah, like everyone's... oh no, please, Cleave. Cleave. But yeah, everyone's playing Dual Strike suddenly because it's actually good when you have a lot of AoE. Or something like this might happen. Like, it might change the meta, and I'm all about meta changes. Like, people are always going on about, like, oh, the meta sucks, but actually, I think most people just get bored out of the meta after a while, and then they just want a new one instead of just, like, disliking the actual meta. And that's how I feel about it.
But it's gonna buff SRS more! My Siri!
It needs it, bruh. It needs it.
Totally needs it.
SRS needs a buff, man.
The highest single target in the game. Jeez. Well, one day Cleve will actually be good. Let's hope, guys. Feels bad. Poor
They need to redesign and add some extra utility to Cleve, I think, in order to make it competitive with Reef.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
They're too similar. If one is better, then everyone will just use the better version.
Reef, aka Better Cleve.
Yeah, exactly that.
So, anyways, I think that's all we really got for Path of Exile talk, except for the Q&A. What do we got today, Ziggy?
Okay, guys, could you please post your questions in the chat, and I'll pull them out. At the same time, I'm going to get us started here. So, this first one comes in from Mr. Tortoise, and he wants to know how it feels like to have subs like me. He says he'll sub for a few months, cancel, and then do a few months more. Once established, I imagine that's not a problem, but early on, you could be wondering why he's suddenly canceling. So he's saying, for example, he cancelled to both, but also subbed to Lifting a few months bro. He cancelled simply because he's not playing at the moment. I'll be back. So I guess how do you guys feel about kind of like subs coming in and dropping out? Personally, from my perspective, we expect it. We expect that some people will only be able to sub for a month here and there. They treat it as a 1 month thing or a couple months, and I expect a pretty significant fluctuation in my subscribers. I'm honestly surprised that more people don't unsub over time. Like I noticed like a 10, maybe max 20% change in my subscriber count over time, which I thought would be way more. So I feel like we totally expect it, man.
So the most amount of subs I've ever had is 388, and that was when 2.0 was out for about a month. And right now I haven't dropped much, not too bad, and that's because I've been consistently streaming and finding ways to get the sub out there. I think it's really important. Like during beta, I actually took like nearly a month off. I was like, beta's boring for me. I don't want to ruin 2.0, and my subs dropped significantly. So I've learned that this go around during the slow time, just be consistent, have a steady schedule, and as long as you're interested, they'll be interested.
Yeah, my consistency is probably my strongest weak point. My weakest point is consistency and scheduling. So I totally expect more people to not be subscribed for as long as they are because of my lack of consistency. But people, I feel, are too forgiving of me. You guys need to be a little harsher on me. But that's kind of my answer to it. The next question, then, while I pull out some other ones, is do you guys have any thoughts on Val Spark? And this is from Squeegit. Squeegit, I think. What do you guys think about Val Spark?
I'd love to make a video about that.
It's so overpowered. Oh my god, it's so crazy.
You can poke so much fun at that thing because it's so crazy.
You just whirling blades. It's all you do, and Valspark just you use it like 3 times, and the whole map is dead. 30-second clear speed. I'm saying it now. Chill of the Corruption is going to get crucified. Next patch notes, it is going to get destroyed. I'm watching Havoc play that and other people, like, just some dude with 10 viewers, and it's like he's clearing the map in 30 seconds. Like, it's a tropical island, but 30-second clear speed. 30 seconds.
It's still a lot of experience power.
Yeah. Amazing. So I was really kind of... Oh shit! Who was it? Was it Havoc? I think it was Havoc.
Yeah,
Havoc was farming Dried Lake with Val Spark recently in the 1 month race, and he was going for 100. And I was like really rooting for him because of the way he was doing it. Right, his strategy was to just farm the shit out of Dried Lake with Val Spark, get heaps of currency, and then buy all the maps he needed, and then just chain the maps until he won. Now he unfortunately died and didn't have a shot at it, but I think he had a real shot at it until that moment where he died. And just like the experience and the currency he was able to get doing that made that like the fact that was a viable strategy. Instead of getting into maps when everyone else was chaining maps non-stop the entire league, he was able to just farm Dried Lake up until 80 something or up until like 90 and then swap over to mapping. The fact that was a viable strategy kind of like goes to show like the strength of Dried Lake farming and Valspark. But I also thought that was really awesome. I don't think that was like a really bad thing. Valspark is insane though. It reminds me of in the past Path of Exile, right? We go back and watch old content. We go watch people playing like builds that used like single targets and old school ground slam builds and stuff like that. Like it was super slow. You go watch old content and like, wow, this game was like so slow paced back then. Now, like, looking at Valspark compared to what most people play now, it's like the next evolution in, like, the speed of Path of Exile. I don't know if I want the entire game to become like that, but this idea that you're just, like, wrecking everything as you just run around, it's insane. It's, like, that much difference in, like, game speed, I feel.
So what do people do? Do they have, like, 2 balls set up?
They use 1 Chill of the Corruption, they have Sacrificial Harvest, and then they throw on Call the Brotherhood. So now your lightning can shatter. And I'm not. There's just Val sparks cover the entire map, and you're just whirling blades, and they're just everywhere. You get so much projectile speed, and I mean, like he uses it, and he just goes, and everything dies instantly. Because it goes low life.
I haven't even seen it.
Yeah. The main challenge is to run with the sparks, so you actually get to kill everything. That's like all you have to do.
Yep.
Or whirling blades, that is.
Yeah, so you use a spell dagger for it. I mean, it's crazy clear speed. LiftingNerdBro, you blink and the map is done watching it.
That sounds good. Sounds like my type of build.
Press one button, please.
What's the next question, Ziggy?
Okay. From Lofweir, 1978. Hey guys, I have a question. How does the partnership influence your style of streaming? Because the partnership and go full-time streaming, you are dependent on viewer size. I guess this takes a lot of freedom in the way you are streaming. So I guess the question is then, how is let's kind of like span this out a bit. How is going for a partnership affected your streaming, and how has having a partnership affected your streaming if you guys are at that point? So I guess Lifting, we'll start with you. You recently went for partnership and then just recently got it, so you're like super relevant to you. How has it affected your streaming habits and the effects of your streaming?
The most amazing thing about being partnered to me was that it allows me to not obsess over numbers I have to prove to Twitch anymore. Before you are getting partnered, you really want to present good numbers to Twitch so they will consider you for a partnership. And that means that you have to constantly position yourself at the right times for your streaming schedule. You have to stream the right type of game. You have to, this sounds wrong, but you have to try so much harder. Whereas when you get the partnership, it's kind of like you're allowed to relax and just focus on what you enjoy. Obviously, that will maybe set you back a bit, but at the same time, it allows you to relax, and that's very enjoyable as well. For me, it meant, for instance, that I can now play other games than just Path of Exile. Because if I were to play other games other than Path of Exile before, my viewer base would be much less impressive. Yeah, exactly. I would never have gotten partnered. So that's the big thing for me. It gives me more freedom, and of course, it allows me to take that next step into actually making a living of Twitch.
I think when you're making that final push, or like getting a channel established, or making that final push towards your partnership, you have a lot less freedom in how you stream. So the question was kind of like angled in a way that once you had your partnership, you were limited in your freedoms. But it's actually completely the opposite way around. When you're trying to get established, when you're pushing for that partnership, you need to stream your main game. You need to stream at the right times. You need to make sure you're doing the thing that gets the most viewers, right? So you have a lot less freedom. You need to almost sell out yourself a little bit to get that partnership, right? You're selling yourself out a little bit for the partnership, not doing exactly what you'd want to be doing. But once you get that partnership, obviously you still need to keep growing things, and you still need to think about that and growing your channel, and making a channel engaging enough for people to want to subscribe. But you get the more freedom to actually do what you want to do, and that's been the same thing for mine. I got my partnership fairly early, thankfully, thanks to having a large YouTube channel. But I still felt that same moment there.
Yeah. How large was your YouTube channel when you applied?
That
50,000 something?
a bit under 50,000, I think. 50,000 subs at the time, so that obviously helped. But that's kind of like what they look for now. If you want to get a partnership, you need, if you have a small channel, it's not going to make too much difference unless you're like super active on it. They might look at it that way. Wobber and Yoji, are you guys is that like close enough that you guys are looking for and considering how you might work towards getting a partnership, or do you feel that affects it all yet?
I'll let Yoji go on this.
Right now. I have no clue yet. Like I'm kind of. When I stream sometimes mostly for fun, and at the moment I'm not even sure if I'm gonna do the whole YouTube thing like full time ever. That's like still very far away. At the moment I'm applying for jobs all the time because I kind of like need money, and I don't think that. But I will. The YouTube thing is kind of like the dream, while finding a good job is still really cool as well. So I'm kind of like in between now. It will definitely depend on how everything will go. So I'm not really 100% on this now. For now, I just stream for fun and like see how things go.
The big misconception of being partnered is that we're rolling in cash. It's like the exact opposite. More times than not, when we stream, we're making less than at least from a US standpoint, less than minimum wage unless we get a donation during that stream.
It took me a long time to get over what I would be getting if I was just on Centrelink, which is like government benefits here.
Yep, seriously.
Unemployment benefits.
If you're on welfare or working for McDonald's, you'll make more than the average partnered streamer, and I'm not even kidding. It takes a while to get there.
But you probably have more fun.
From my perspective, you know, I've been going really hard on my Twitch the past couple weeks ever since I got laid off because I have the time, and it's been pretty natural for me to get the viewers. I just like what Ziggy was saying. You know, you kind of want to like. So I have a YouTube channel too, right? And I'm trying to grow both, right? And that's hard to do. You know, it's not easy to grow one massively and the other is massively at the same time, and it seems like they really just counteract each other with the time that you're putting into it. So I know when I apply for partnership, and I don't necessarily know when, it's at least a couple months out, I am going to include my YouTube channel in it because I want them to consider that. And but I don't really know, because I feel like I have value for it, right? Like I feel like I'm deserving of it, but you know, especially with the change recently with Twitch going to Amazon. It was Amazon or Yahoo?
It's Amazon.
Amazon.
It's Amazon. Okay,
You're gonna get declined with that attitude.
What?
Wait, who bought you out again? I think it was Yahoo. Yeah.
Praise the Amazon gods.
That's something that I'm curious about. Like, I don't know if you know, if it's harder with Amazon than it was before. You know,
I'll tell you what it is, Wabachaw. When Ziggy and I got partnered, there was no hosting. And then hosting came into play, and all these people are just getting really high numbers. They're bros with another streamer. That streamer hosts them. And Twitch didn't realize that they were giving partnership out to these people who weren't actually getting these viewers off of their own merit. So they gave out partnership to all these people, and now they're averaging like 20 to 50 viewers because they're actually not that entertaining. But they got a sub button, and then to make up for that, they're making it even harder. I mean, look at Project PT. He's got 9,000 followers, no partnership. Maintaining decent numbers, you know? So it's
he's streaming every day as well.
Yeah, he streams every day. So it's like it got harder because of the hosting feature, I feel.
Yeah. Well, and that's the biggest reason why I really want to include my YouTube. And I want to have quality content on YouTube and on Twitch. So I mean, when it comes to it, I'm confident about it, but I understand that it might take multiple tries. But I'm going to do it. And this goes back to the very beginning of what ZiggyD said. You have to act as if it's already working. Like, you have to act as if your stream is already 100%. No.
I think, though, not to rain on your parade, but I really don't think they care too much unless you have like really good numbers on YouTube. I think you have I think they even write themselves that they're like looking for people with 100,000 subscribers. And when I applied, I got rejected 3 times as well.
Right.
At the times I did it, I had 10,000, 15,000, and now what I have now, right? And it's just, I'm not saying that to rain on your parade or whatever the expression is, but just to, I think it's other things that we need to focus on when we're applying.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, I'm going to focus on working hard. That's what I'm.
That's
like whatever.
Sounds like a good plan.
Rainbows.
I don't care. Like, you know.
I actually think that's exactly what they want to see. People who don't give up. People who keep doing this. Hedgie wrote my Twitch application because he knew exactly what to incorporate in the Twitch application. Of course, I could. I agreed with what he wrote for me, but. Basically, it's all about showing that you don't want to give up. You're here, and you'll persevere. You'll keep doing this because they want dedicated people. They don't want people to give or want partnership to people and then they leave. You know, it's not a good investment for them.
Making friends with people is good. Like people will reach out their neck for you if you put forth a good product. I know I did for LiftingNerdBro project. Like I'll put my name on it if they're actually like good for the community. I have no problems for that.
Sino actually wrote an email to Twitch and recommending my stream, and that was amazing as well. Yeah.
So let's go to the next question, Ziggy.
I actually, before we move on to some more community questions, I actually have a question for you guys. What do you guys think is the potential, however you want to say it, in numbers or potential reach or whatnot for YouTube, for Path of Exile in terms of YouTube and Twitch? How much bigger do you guys think it could be from your perspective? I guess we'll start with you, Waba. What do you think, man?
I know a lot of people who played Path of Exile at one point, like early on, maybe even in the original closed or open beta or whatever. I didn't play in beta, but they played really early on, right? And now they don't play it anymore. They play Diablo 3 or whatever, And I think if we could just get those people back, Path of Exile could double in size. Like in its community size, easily it could double, because there's a lot of people who they feel like they've done enough in Path of Exile that there's no reason for them to look back. But there's so much more in the game now. Like the game is so drastically different than it was in Nemesis and prior to Nemesis. So I think that the community could double in size. In all honesty, I think it could get way larger than it is now, just because there's so much there now. Like between Masters and Jewels and all these corrupted zones and like really interesting boss fights and mechanics. Like it's just not being communicated well enough to the non-PoE action RPG players.
Yeah, the game itself keeps growing like a great deal, huh?
Mm-hmm.
The key with streaming is to find a game that's not going to go anywhere and it's highly accessible for other people and everybody has the ability to play it. Standard League, softcore league, hardcore
and the game
league.
itself is still being developed.
Yeah, exactly. Like Hearthstone is so successful because anybody, no matter how crap you are, no matter how good you are, you'll get a Hearthstone meme. Everyone get in here, right? Everyone understands that damn meme, and everyone can play that game. And it's super simple. It's not going anywhere. And of course, it has Blizzard to back it up. We have to remember that Grinding Your Games is still an indie company, and the fact they show up as high as they do on Twitch for as long as they have on Twitch is pretty damn impressive.
Right.
Pretty damn impressive. I think bring back old streamers. That's all nostalgia, red tinted, rose tinted glasses. I think that the direction of Path of Exile is in a very good way right now.
Oh, I don't even mean old streamers. I just mean old players.
Old players, okay.
Like just people that I know that they're like, oh, I used to play Path of Exile. Yeah, it was pretty fun, but now I just play ladder Diablo 3. Just things like that. I don't even mean Crip, and I just mean the actual player base, not leaders of the community.
Not to be the negative one again, but I don't think Path of Exile has that much room or potential to grow on YouTube or Twitch. I think maybe Twitch more. But if we focus on YouTube, Path of Exile, Ziggy has pretty much covered everything, and I mean, of course, there are new things happening in the game, but the core gameplay of Path of Exile is pretty much the same, and it doesn't seem like it's developing that far. One thing I really was excited about and thought could really help Path of Exile develop in that direction was when PvP was announced. Because if you had PvP, it would open up for this whole new element where you could focus on PvP builds, you could have PvP battles, showcasing these and all that stuff. I don't think Path of Exile has that much more potential on YouTube, because you can, of course, explain guides, you can make new build guides as the meta develops, but I think with the niche base that it has, there will always be people who watch and search for Path of Exile content, but I don't think it's ever going to be a game, unless it changes drastically, that will
I think when you can get I think when you can put out a new build video on Dual Flame Totem and get 350,000 views, I think that shows that there's still a lot of room for growth. The reason why I wanted to do this episode exclusively dedicated to giving you guys some information on YouTubing and Twitch is because I think the growth potential of the game is huge. Now, what you thought about PvP, I think about racing could have a really big impact on the game. But I also think that there's just right now, without changing anything about the game, I also think there's a lot more room for a lot more YouTube content that hasn't been covered. I have a massive list in the back of my mind of YouTube content that I could potentially make, but don't have time to make, that other people could make really well. I'm starting to see people do that, like that, that trading video, for example, that we just watched earlier, stuff like that. I think there's tons of potential for that, and I think there's also a lot more streamers that could be kind of trying to distinguish their stream a little bit more and getting several hundred viewers to getting up to 1,000 viewers and things like that. I think there's a fair amount of room in the game just right now for growth. And I've seen the numbers, the core numbers for the game grow dramatically over the time. I think there's excellent potential there. I just think people kind of need to.
Can you give an example? So, just out of curiosity, what is it that you think that Path of Exile, for instance, has in store for it that will make it so much more popular on YouTube?
Do you mean what I mentioned about racing, for example? I think
racing. Okay, yeah, that's the thing. But let's see if racing doesn't happen. Let's say what else?
So if racing doesn't happen, then what's kind of popular with content wise? Do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, of course we can keep making guides, and that works because there's not that many people out there doing this. But what is the thing that's going to take Path of Exile to the next level? That's kind of where I have my issues.
Challenging.
Okay, so what makes it explode? What makes it become a Hearthstone?
Exactly.
Well, I don't actually ever think that's going to happen. No, when I say there's a lot of potential for the game, I don't mean that I don't think it's going to become like a Hearthstone or something like that. But I look back at look for example at something like RuneScape. That might maybe not everyone likes RuneScape or whatever, but that game was huge, man. That had such a huge viewership on YouTube a while back. That had a huge player base in the game, and the developers kind of gave up on the game, and it sort of started to falter, and there's a bunch of stuff that went wrong with that game. But I feel like Path of Exile has similar potential to grow in it and just become the dominant free-to-play game. Even though it's quite a niche topic, I think it can expand out quite a bit more in that regard and have a ton of attraction for content. There's definitely, as long as new skills are being added and new leagues being brought out, there's always going to be tons of demand for guides. As the game's free-to-play, it's going to keep growing. More people like that. More and more people are coming to check out each new league. So there's always going to be big demand for guides as long as new stuff's happening. And then over time, as the community matures further and further, there's going to be more demand for entertainment content. It's like I use so I have one of my housemates is a StarCraft streamer and YouTuber, and that game is at its point where now it's kind of at a maturity point where it's not really growing at all. It's somewhat declining. So the content that does really well in StarCraft at the moment is entertaining content, like cool gameplays and fun commentaries and stuff like that. Guides do really poorly there now. So I think that there's also, at the same time as the rest of the stuff is growing, there's also a growing demand for kind of more entertainment-focused content. So there's, I see almost none of that. Most people are making some sort of guide or beginner's guides or stuff like that. And certainly, the demand for beginner's guides won't grow that much with the game, but the demand for more entertainment content, for more racing commentaries, gameplay commentaries, fun things, creative ideas, especially people coming together and doing different projects, like people creating their own sort of races against each other, like 5 YouTubers or streamers or something getting together and creating a unique race idea that they compete amongst each other and present their different point of views. There's so much more that could be done by the content creation community and for Path of Exile.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, so I think that's it.
If you guys want ideas, by the way, just feel free to message me and I'll share my video ideas that I don't have time to do. I'd be happy to share those ideas.
There's one thing that, and we're going to wrap it up, I'm sorry, but there's one thing. I want an in-game camera cinematic for videos.
I'm going to simplify this. This is how you simplify it. Path of Exile has an ever-changing skill tree and a dynamic meta shift. So long as this exists with a new free-to-download DLC, expansions, the game will be successful, and it will always have new content to be pushed out on YouTube. There you go. Alrighty, I think that concludes everything. Yeah, we good?
Yeah, okay, we can finish up. I could keep talking about this forever, to be honest.
I got places to be, man. I got places to be.
Yeah. Really, feel free to message me, guys, if you want to talk YouTube and Twitch strategy in regards to Path of Exile. Always happy to help the community grow out.
Yeah. So, Ziggy, just to clarify, when will our next episode be? When are you done with all your shenanigans so we can tell everyone live on YouTube and everything?
Not a fortnight from now, but maybe 3 weeks, probably 4 weeks would be best. So maybe if we miss a fortnight.
Okay, so about 3 to 4 weeks from now, so we will be taking a break from our normal schedule. We'll think up ideas for the next episode, but I'm going to pitch something I talked about on my stream. That we were curious what the new 1 month would be. Hear me out, guys. Only white items drop. Currency drop rates are drastically increased. Void League, the chance for chancing a unique is greatly increased. Eternal Orbs can drop again. League.
I'd love to see it, but I don't think it'll happen because they've said they don't want to dull the enthusiasm of finding currency in the core game. But then again, with stuff like Corrupting Tempest, they've already done that a lot. I think they should just forget about that idea and just give us this fun shit.
And then, maybe make it very short instead. Not a 1 month for starters, maybe a 1 week race where you just have to craft all your stuff. Do it yourself league. Let's go.
A crafter's 1 week race or a crafter's 3-day race or something really short. Yeah, I think that could be really good.
Sounds fun to me.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you very much. We'll see you in about 14 years when Ziggy's back. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. And don't forget to check out the YouTube ItsYoji, LiftingNerdBro, and Wabachaw TV. Thank you guys again for tuning in.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed this rather different episode. Hopefully there's some interesting discussion. Alrighty, guys. Thanks for having us.
Twitch.tv/Wabachaw.
What? Now we're waiting on delay. Oh yeah, I totally forgot to tell you guys. So get this, I've been watching Walking Dead, and last night I had a dream about zombies. And in this episode, or in this dream, whoa, the zombies were actually my cat. And like I woke up in the middle of the night, and there was a cat overlooking me, and it was